listen to Pavarotti.
A criminal defense attorney, host of the Defense Diaries podcast, was in the courtroom for the trial. Bob Motta, and private investigator, worked on the case for nearly 2 years, is close with Richard Allen's family. Erica Morse is with. Erica, it's been a while since I've talked to you about this case. So let's talk about this case. Let's start first with Richard Allen. His wife, Kathy, wasn't there today, right?
No one from the Allen family attended. That was an ongoing discussion between Rick and his family for about the last 2 weeks, Vinny, as to whether or not they should go. And the decision was made that if Rick's advisement by the defense attorneys was to not participate in the pre-sentencing investigation report, and for good reason, that the family would stand with him in solidarity and not accept the verdict by refusing to show up. It is unfair to watch this family, or to ask this family to watch this man be sentenced for crimes he did not commit in a trial that has to be redone.
So, Erica, tell me, why do you believe he did not commit this horrific double murder?
Oh, well, Vinny, we only have, 20 minutes to talk about it tonight. The Frank's memo. Frank's memo, which was not a concoction of the defense team. It was a highly and very thoroughly investigated extension of a report created by an FBI task force who developed that theory. And the man who authored that report died at the hands of an Odinism prison guard 5 days after he turned that report in.
Wait. Say that again?
Mm-hmm. Told you to tell you, Vinny. Bob, back me on this. Am I lying?
No, she's talking about Greg Ferenczi, who was one of the three authors of the Odin report that Click, Ferenczi, and Kevin Murphy all put together because they continued that line of investigation for years until Greg Ferenczi was killed, and that was in front of a federal building shortly after he turned in that document.
What if I told you this was the last ad you would ever see?
Explain this to how is he killed? So the man who was killed was working for the FBI or was part of the task force? Who exactly was he?
He was one of the three members of the task force tasked with investigating all of the tips related, and I mean all of the tips related to a particular group of individuals. And Greg authored the report. It was turned in, I believe, on May 2nd. And he, on May 7th, was sitting in an office inside the federal building in, I believe it was Indy or Terre Haute. And a Molotov cocktail was thrown through his office window. Greg vacated his office, ran outside in front of the federal building, and that is when he was shot in the head by a former prison guard who is very openly tied to Odinism.
So was that prison guard arrested and prosecuted for this?
Yes, and charged, convicted. Yes, sir, he was. And this is one of the many details about the Delphi case that the state does not want the world to know. They don't want the world to know that Todd Click has been charged with unrelated crimes, another member of that task force. They don't want to know about the number of people associated with this case who have died or been charged, myself included. They don't want the world to know.
Wait, you've been charged with something now?
The bloods, I got to be careful.
Right.
But the blood spatter expert who testified at the Delphi trial was at my home alone, inside my home, 2 days before he testified in the trial. And Bob can attest to that. There's so much y'all don't know, Vinny. There's so much. People are scared. And then to have Doug and Dick sit there today and disparage us for the work we've done and talk about the transparency that they claim occurred in a case where there was none, where the defense team wasn't even allowed to present a case. Let's go. I'm ready. I told you I was going to talk starting the day the gag order was lifted. Let's do this.
Bob, what are you... I'm trying to make some sense of all this. So it seems like there's a big backstory here to the whole Odinism angle. And I just want to clarify this, right? So there's a task force that's part of law enforcement. And there's some members of this task force who had a different theory. They did not believe Richard Allen, or Richard Allen wasn't even on the radar yet for anyone. But they believed that the murder of these two girls was connected to some sort of Odinistic or Odinistic group ritual killing. And what you're telling me is that one member of that group who authored that report is no longer alive. Another one's been arrested for something?
Right before trial. Unrelated to the case, but
is he law enforcement or is she law enforcement? Like the people on this task force, were they law enforcement officers?
Oh yeah, these were all longtime cops. These were all decorated. I mean, just Google Greg Ferenczi. You'll see immediately this guy was highly respected. All of these cops were longtime cops. And that's kind of what we've been saying about, this concept of Doug Carter getting up there and casting shade on the defense for doing their job. Number one, let's just understand that it's their job, and everything that was in that Frank's memo that people on the Richard Allen is guilty. They created this whole narrative thing. The defense did side. I don't know if they just don't realize that all of that came from the discovery tendered to the defense by the state. None of this was cooked up by the defense.
Right.
That exact report we're talking about was in the discovery. That report that we're talking about right now was in the discovery.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Lockdown 23-1. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about a religious organization in the penitentiary called Odinism. And there's another word for it, Astral. I don't know how to pronounce it. Look, if you're here to get like the best facts on Odinism, you might as well click the next one, okay? Because I'm going to be just telling y'all some wild and crazy stories from prison pertaining to these Odinists and, how people look at them, how inmates look at these individuals in the prison system. But I am a fan of the PS4 game God of War. Yes, I am. And if you ever want to get a video game that teaches you a little bit about the whole religious thing, God of War is the route you need to take. It's a wonderful game. I do not believe in the whole religious background of this Odinism or whatever you want to call it. I'm not gonna lie though, it is a pretty damn appealing religion, okay, if you really do your research. For the white guys, I hear mixed things, other races or whatever can join or follow the whole Odinism thing, but in prison, look, let's just be frank with it, okay? It's more along the lines of a white supremacist group, okay? You're gonna see the Odinist thing more along the lines of that group in prison, okay? You ain't gonna see no black guys going to the freaking, what do they call it? The blot, the sacred blot. It's like a little thing that they do, ceremony or something. You ain't gonna see no black guys in there, man. You ain't, okay? At least not in the penitentiary. I got a funny ass story to go with that whole sacred blot thing, and I do apologize if I'm not pronouncing it correctly or if I might get something wrong. I'm not an expert here. I'm just gonna tell you exactly what I've seen in the penitentiary, man. I'm gonna keep it raw with y'all, all right? But yeah, Odinism, okay? It is primarily for white people in prison, all right? I don't know exactly the whole history behind it. I mean, I kind of do, but there's just so many different, I guess you could say, versions of it, because people can really go hard into this whole religious belief about keeping their race, keeping their culture and their religious beliefs into where they came from, okay? So it can be very tricky. You know, nowadays anybody can worship whatever the hell they want, but in penitentiary you just can't. Okay, you just can't. You could die from it. All right, you can't go to the penitentiary even though it's on the canteen list. You can't buy a Muslim rug and Muslim praying oils if you ain't a Muslim. You could die, and I got a story for that when we do the whole Muslim video. But anyways, today is Odinism. How do inmates look at Odinists? Okay, well, first off, some of the tattoos that come along the lines of Odinism is, of course, the Thor hammer, and I got a funny ass story to go along the lines of that. The Thor hammer. If you see this puppy, you know, guys wear it as medallions, get it tattooed all over them, all kinds of stuff. Okay, that's like the #1 sign that the dude's an Odinist. Okay, or you'll see these crazy looking letters. I don't know what they are. They're from like I don't know what they're called, runes or something like that. I don't know, man.
Norse pagan tattoos can be really cool, and it can be a way that you can get in touch with your Norse history and roots. Unfortunately, a lot of these neo-Nazi white supremacist groups have absolutely ruined that. So let's run through a list of some of the ones that you should avoid unless you want to be associated with those yucks. The Thor's hammer, a traditional symbol of strength and honor. Yeah, the neo-Nazis got that one from you. Valthnut, did I pronounce that right? I don't know, I'm not Norse pagan. But you know, the one with all the cool trippy triangles that's associated with Odin and death and war. Yeah, they picked that one up too. The Triskelion, which has roots in ancient Celtic knotwork and is also associated with symmetry and key figures in Viking lore. Well, yeah, now it's a symbol of racism and ignorance and hate. Another one rooted in Celtic knotwork, the ash tree, the tree of life. It was a symbol of life and the universe. Well, now it's a symbol of being an ignorant piece of shit. And I'm not saying that you can't get these tattoos and do what you do, but people might misinterpret. If you go to prison, it can get you in a wreck. They might carve it off you or make you cover it up.
Until I broke the rules, my life.